All right, welcome back. Now, after I ended my most recent live stream, I went to the store, I did a little shopping, I came back, and I saw I had two more comments. Well, three more comments. And I like this debate. I like this discussion. This little back and forth. I like the pushback that I'm getting from these users on this subject. That's what these channels are for, man. Now, if you're not following what's going on, if you're not following the discussion, I'm going to pick up where I left off. This video I just uploaded about an hour ago, titled Wayne Kong is a Point Fighter. And you see I have it in quotations because someone else made this comment in response to me being critical of Wayne Kong's power. And I got it on high speed, so bear with me here. And I started another live after I saw someone's comment. Now, I can't see the comment, but somebody basically said, Wayne Kong is a point fighter. I don't know why people expect her to knock people out. Wayne Kong is not a finisher. And I want to entertain that comment. And I want to first point out that she don't have to be a finisher. There are other fighters who are going to get more respect for their power than Wayne Kong does. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to be a finisher. You just at least got to get respect for your power. You got to get enough respect where your opponent don't want to just walk you down like that. The way Silva was walking her down, she didn't care what was coming from Wayne Kong. Did not care whatsoever. There are certain... Okay, I think you get the point of what we're going over here. Now let's set some laws that everybody can agree with. Most WMMA fights, period, are point fights. And most of the women are point fighters. Let's just put that out there so that we can always stay mindful of that. Myself included. There are a few exceptions to the rule. But they are just that. Exceptions to the rule. You can pretty much name the fighters with knockout power in their fists. You could probably do it on one hand. Right? Gomez, let's say the strawweight division. Gomez. Who else? Amanda Lemos. Think about it. Verna, no. Suarez, no. Yan Xiaonan. I think Yan has above average power. I think she gets a lot of respect for her power. Fighters generally don't want to walk Yan Xiaonan down. Okay, so I'll say she's above average, but she's not really a knockout puncher like that. But she is above average. I'm gonna give it up to Yan. She's above your average, but it's really not devastating knockout power. Andrade, she used to. She hasn't been doing it recently. Mackenzie Dern, no. Rebus, no. Lucindo, she hits hard, and I think she gets a lot of respect for her power. Jillian, no. And Jillian is a big no. Fighters literally are willing to take Jillian's shots to get off their own. I've seen several fighters do that. Tabitha Ricci, no. Lupe Godinez, no. The vast majority of women, they're not knockout punchers. They're point fighters. My issue with Kong is that when I look at the women, I measure their power based on how much respect they get for their shots. Because if none of them are if they're not knocking each other out like that, then you have to look at something else. If you want to judge their power, look at the damage. Does that fighter get a lot of knockdowns? That's another way to sort of measure a woman's power. And I'm specifically talking about in their fists. Do they get a lot of knockdowns? When they hit fighters, have they hurt a number of fighters. I don't think it's that difficult to measure their punching power. You just got to look for these signs and keep record of it. So someone else left a comment right here. These are the comments that I'm responding to now. And you see the comment here. They said, so Natalya and Manon have no power based on this logic. I responded, I said, who walked through Manon's offense? Silva wants to move backwards. I don't believe Silva has to move backwards the way she does. But I don't see fighters walking Manon down like that. In that third round, Wang Kong was looking bad in several moments. She was looking bad. And some people were like, hey, maybe she actually lost the third. She didn't want to be backed up against the fence like that. She didn't want to have to, be fighting, going backwards. And I mean, she was going backwards. She, at one point, found herself against the fence. That's not what Wang Kong wanted. Natalya wants to move back, and she wants to move laterally. You see the difference? Huge difference. And when Natalya stands her ground, she gets that respect. That's why I'm always on her case. When Natalya decides to stand in one spot or go forward, them girls is going to stand in one spot with her. And if she decides to go forward, most of them going to go backwards. Them shots is too fast, too accurate, got too much pop on them. She gets a lot of respect for her hands. I'm talking about Natalya Silva. But when you have an opponent that was doing what Ariane was doing, walking forward, just basically threw shots. Kong throw a shot. She hit Lipsky in the head. Lipsky takes it, keeps walking forward. You don't want that. You don't want your power to be disregarded like that, because that'll increase the pressure that's being put onto you. That's going to be like hell in there. No, you don't want that. You want to be able to throw something out there and make that opponent stop. You want to have respect. Respect is a huge issue in fights. Huge issue. So who has been marching, doing that to Manon? I can't recall nobody doing that. Or Natalya Silva. Who's done that with Silva? Y'all, you can't categorize Natalya Silva's lateral movement and backward movement as her offense being walked through. That's an error. That's an error. She is simply moving, which I don't think she has to do, but she's just more comfortable doing that. She is more comfortable hitting and moving, not being there when her opponent wants to strike. She is more comfortable not allowing her opponents to get set. That's just what she prefers. And I don't think she has to. But her offense is not being walked through in those moments. Don't equate those two. No. No. Where are these guys at? Where you at, Gary? I want Gary and Rihanna to come back. I'm not attacking y'all. I'm not jumping on y'all. Just trying to have I think it's a fun little discussion. Yeah? Can we have a fun, interesting discussion without anybody feeling like they're being attacked? I don't want anybody to feel like I'm attacking. And I was about to, I haven't responded to this yet, but I'm about to. You see that? He said, or Rihanna. Rihanna left the comment. Said, I'm not saying Wong is a world beater. Is Silva a point fighter then? she had Andrade hurt, but Andrade was marching Silva down. She was not marching Silva down. Silva was just moving. And yes, she's a point fighter. She's a point fighter who has power. A point fighter whose power is respected. Go back and look at her fights. Those fighters who walk forward as Natalya is moving laterally, those same opponents will stop if Natalya decides to stop. They do. Go look at Grasso. She did the exact same thing. Doing all that marching. And then when Natalya said, okay, I'm gonna stop moving now. What's up? Suddenly their opponents, they wasn't that brave no more. They're like, oh. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing. As I watch these fights, this is what I'm seeing. This is how my brain is processing it. Jessica Andrade was not walking through Natalya's offense. She was simply walking forward. And when Natalya decided to stand her ground, what happened? Andrade got hurt. And there were other moments when Natalya stood her ground, Andrade stopped coming forward. That happens every single time Natalya decides to stand her ground because she's too fast. That is what I call respect. They're showing respect to her offense. What I saw in that third round was Ariane losing respect for Wang Kong's offense. That's a very bad position to be in. And I could easily see a fight like that turning around based on Ariane's willingness to take whatever Wang wanted to dish out. Because Wang is not going to go for no takedown. So what that mean? That means Ariane could have did that for 2 more rounds. And that would have been a rough night for Kong if she wasn't able to stop her. Wasn't able to get no respect. And you had to deal with an opponent walking through your offense. I'm telling you, Kong will throw jab, straight shot. Ariane, boop, boop, still walking forward. She was walking forward as she was taking these shots. Not a care in the world. She knew she was behind. Her corner jumped on her case. In between round 2 and 3, she came out round 3 hungry, on a mission. And you telling me that's all it takes? And this was a hurt fighter we talking about. On her front foot. Making the alleged dominant striker go backwards. No, you gotta get more respect for your offense than that. Male or female. You gotta get more respect for your offense. Now, what you're looking at now is Natalya Silva's record. Decision. Silva is more of a point fighter. I will agree with that. But she's a point fighter with power, with above average power. She's not throwing feather dusters. These are not Jillian Robertson punches. I mean, her punches got sting. She was outboxing Alexa Grasso. That's why I get frustrated with Silva for not being more confident with her boxing. For not, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Natalya should force more of her opponents to deal with her boxing. So, scary stuff, man. As far as the potential for Natalya to make improvements, there's a lot of room for improvements despite being as impressed with her as we currently are. All right, so let's see. Ariane was taking that for fight. Yeah. Jane in the chat room says agree. You clearly see that Ariane was taking the fight over, fighting on one leg and still walking Wang down. Like, if Wang was my fighter, I would not feel comfortable seeing that. That would have made me very uncomfortable, and I would not want 2 more rounds of that. So that's bad. When a fighter like Wang Kong, who is like she's exclusively a striker. She ain't going for no takedowns. When a fighter like that, when your stand-up is being challenged, it's a wrap. It's only a matter of time before you take L and take another one and take another one. But we will see. We will see. And I'll land my plane there.